All right, another training recap, and I'm even further behind than I was previously. So I'm about 2 weeks behind now. I need to catch up. Part of that was I was traveling all last week and didn't get a chance to upload any videos, and training last week was terrible. And I think actually looking at this week, the week before, it kind of tells me a lot of reasons why. So more sumo pulls, and as part of this, my hips have been giving me some trouble. Not that they've been hurting, it's just I can't seem to open them. Again, I've been doing a lot of work on it, and it's going to take some time to get better. But I think that I am progressing faster in my programming for sumos than my body can adapt to. So I talked with Garrett about this, and what I'm going to do is just kind of back off on the weight, because I need to really focus on form. And Mike Trashier has a very good video and kind of mindset on this, is especially for alternate stance stuff that you're not used to doing. In some cases, you have to treat it like a completely new lift. Although I am good at conventional, or decent at conventional, I know that my sumo is not there, and to think that I can progress in the same way as I can my typical competition lift for me just isn't very realistic. So I will have backed off, although next week when you see that I travel and train, you'll see it gets even worse. And I attribute that somewhat to traveling and somewhat to me just being terrible at sumo. Moving on to other stuff, you saw some bench, now on to some safety bar squats. I've really been liking how these have been feeling. Allows me to get a little bit deeper, and these have been burning the hell out of my lower body. Again, sets of 10 will likely do that to you. But my day one's always pretty tough because it's deadlift, bench, and squat, which is great because that's what I'm training for. It just takes a long toll out of me. Moving on, then had some tempo squats. So the tempos on these are supposed to be 3 seconds down, 1 second in the hole, and then 1 second exploding. I thought these felt pretty good, and I thought these looked pretty good too. One of the things that I'm trying to really do is sink down more in my hips. So I'm really imagining in my mind when I descend in the squat to open my hips and drop in. Again, given the fact that I have some hip issues, that's not entirely possible. I think part of the reason why I tend to bend forward some is because my hips just can't open up. So in order to compensate, what happens is my butt shoots back and my torso shoots forward. So again, something to work on here. And just a reminder about how some of these videos work that I show you for my training weeks. I try to show you my top sets, my best sets, or in some cases my worst sets, and pretty much just one set of each exercise unless there's something I specifically want to talk about. On average, I'm doing probably around 4 sets per exercise, but there's just no point in showing you everything, especially when I'm trying to show you the whole week. I also only try to show the weights for some of the main movements or the heavier movements, only because for some things like, close grip floor presses with the multi-grip barbell just doesn't really make sense in my mind. I would show you the weights for this seated overhead press because I would consider this more of a compound movement. However, it's not very heavy, and that being said, I still ended up not getting all the reps. So I think I was going for 10 here, and I only really got 8. For overhead press, I really tend to get in my mind when I think things are going well, I start overthinking it, and then things just go awful. So I should probably stop thinking about that. Now what you're watching is the third squatting session of the week. This is just regular squats. So for my 3 squatting sessions right now, based off the program, I have safety bar squats, I have tempo squats, then just regular low bar squats. These moved pretty good, and I'm really somewhat enjoying squatting 3 times per week. I say that because it's nice to up the frequency. I also know that it's taking a lot out of me, and it's probably not letting me push all the numbers that I potentially could. But hopefully as the training cycles wear on and some of that frequency maybe drops, we can up the intensity and it'll really pay off. I'm also getting a lot of use out of this Archon multi-grip barbell. You'll guys see it a lot. I tend to do it anytime it has like some tricep work. I just figure it's easier, and plus it's a fun variation. Speaking of variations, one of the things I also got in the mail the other day was the Archon multi-grip trap hex barbell. I think that's what it's called. You're seeing it here. They sent this to me because they really liked my review on the other bar. I will eventually do a review on this. I probably won't give it as high of a rating just because there's some issues where I think it could be improved. But I used this today to do some stiff-legged deadlifts, and it worked out pretty well. And I do like the fact that you can use a couple different other grips. So I used all different grips for each different set that I did here, which was pretty cool. And again, I'll do a video on this, and you might have seen it in my gym update for spring that I just recently put up as well. Also decided to throw in some pull-ups on this particular day. It wasn't in my program, but I really wanted to add them in because I haven't done them in a while, and I feel like it's just a very solid exercise. So I just did a couple of sets, I think of 10. My form isn't the best here, and I hate filming pull-ups because I always think like I'm getting a full stretch at the bottom, but that just never seems to be the case. So this is just a reminder that I really need to do that. From there, moved on to some spoto pressing. So again, nothing heavy here, but these felt really, really good, and bench felt really, really good all this week, which is great. It's good to see that that's going well, especially when I'm benching 4 times per week. Hopefully that'll pay off in the long run and be able to up my overall bench press 1 rep max. And I did get some questions on, how can you bench 4 times a week? It's really about balancing the intensity and the frequency and the volume that you're doing in order to make sure that you're not overtaxing yourself. Then did some 1-inch pause deadlifts or whatever, pause deadlifts at the shin. I don't think it's possible to do a 1-inch pause deadlift really because I put so much force into the bar, at least I try to, that I just can't stop it within 1 inch. But these felt really good. And again, it was awesome to go back to some conventional pulls after doing sumo earlier in the week. And I feel like I kept my back in a pretty good position for these particular sets as well. Then just some final accessory work, as I mentioned, just some more work with the Archon multi-grip barbell, like these a lot, really trying to hammer my triceps, and I think that's a weak point for my bench, so hopefully that'll help some. I'm also trying out these new Ray-Ban warm pants that I was sent just to do maybe a review. We'll see. They are very tight. They are very spandexy, but they are very warm as well. And then finally finished off the whole training week with my favorite incline dumbbell rows. Range of motion on here was not very good either. I attribute that to a fatigue, or maybe I'm just trying to get that pump and mind muscle connection, and it's about that contraction, and I'm switching to bodybuilding training, or not really. So there's that week. I will update you guys when I can next week. In the meantime, as always, thanks so much for watching. Stay big.